All right, any of them? Does fame come with responsibility? I think if you choose it, I think responsibility is something that we all have with or without fame. You know, I think we're all responsible to be in service of some sorts, whether that's something as small as providing dinner for someone who may need a dinner or showing up for your community. I have no intention of changing anyone, and I have no intention of preaching to anyone, but I do see the benefit of using a platform to encourage novel ideas and maybe encourage new conversation and thoughtful debate, because to me that's what our world is about. Tris versus Katniss. I personally think Tris and Katniss would be friends. I've always said that. I think that they're both badass young women who have a fire in their souls because of injustice that they've witnessed in their life and losing her parents. And I think that, you know, they would recognize that as a team, they'd kind of be unstoppable. Oh, playing for TV versus big screen. Big Little Lies, it is a television show, but it feels more like a movie because we have the same director for every season, so it feels like one long film production versus most TV shows traditionally have a different director per episode. And I love movies. I do. I love the process of working on something for a few months and then leaving it behind and then coming back together to sell it. And I specifically love independent films. Studio films are beautiful and powerful in their own right, but there's something about independent films that you can't beat. It's so hard to get independent films made and edited and then distributed from start to finish. You're walking up Mount Everest. But when you finally get to the top and that movie gets into the hearts of people around the world, there's honestly nothing more rewarding. And I find that those movies are usually the ones that leave me the most affected. Greg Arakki. I love Greg.
You sure?
I was 17 when my body changed seemingly overnight. Flesh and blood and raging hormones.
White Bird in a Blizzard was such a special project because our budget was so small. Oh my gosh, I can't even remember what it was. But we were all working for nothing. Everybody was kind of on an even playing field. We filmed the entire thing in 19 days. And we just kind of got to play for almost a month. And that was really special. Greatest heroine in real life. She's an author. Her name's Anaïs Nin. She's French. I would say she's one of my greatest heroes. A political filmmaker you admire. I really admire Darren Aronofsky. I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about, you know, some of the work maybe that he puts out or some of the contexts of his films, but everything he's done, I just think that he has the balls to make political statements that a lot of people don't. You know, Mother obviously is a great example of that. Like for me, that movie is all about climate change and the brain and the ability to create a film that's based on climate change but in such extreme measures that's a creative genius in my mind. But I just think that he's kind of unprecedented in that way, and I really respect his courage. Has Hollywood changed since the Weinstein case? Absolutely. I think it would be impossible for Hollywood not to change because so many people, for the first time in their lives, felt like they were able to express their opinions and their voices. I do believe that the change will last, and although it has begun to shift, we still have a long way to go. You know, the pendulum often swings from one side straight to the other side, and my prayer would be that we find a symbiotic relationship somewhere in the middle, some sort of balance. But you need to have those polarities and those extremities in order to really dissect and understand where we come from, why we come from a place, what the systemic issues are, and how we fix the root of the cause versus just continue to put Band-Aids on the surface. Uno más. One simple gesture everyone could make to prevent climate change.
Every time an aquifer is compromised, every time a river has a pipeline put through it, that means that we are guaranteeing a future where our children do not have access to clean water. We can't do that.
I think the simplest thing we can actually do is just do a little research. I could tell you to recycle all day long, or I could tell you to not use plastic straws, or to eliminate plastics in your life, or to maybe consider ride sharing. But end of the day, if you're not educated on a particular subject, you're not going to care for very long. And apathy will come back in. And so I think the simplest and the most effective thing we can all do is educate ourselves on climate change, whether it's watching a documentary, Leonardo DiCaprio's documentary. My greatest hope would be people begin educating themselves and then encourage other people to educate themselves, and then I won't have to tell you what to do because you'll know what to do.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Cool.
Whoopsies.